Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Frustrated Grad Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Hughes, the black dude with bad news, who survived Coach Wilson's gym class, and I'm
He
welcoming,
barely pays attention.
yeah, it's very realistic, and I'm welcoming my co-host, writer, movie fan, academic decathlete, Tony Hoffman.
Academic, yeah. I've heard that their portrayal of an academic decathlon is very unrealistic in
Okay,
Spider-Man: Homecoming.
I would have no idea. I mean, I'm sure they
Yeah.
don't always get caught in elevators in the Washington Monument. I didn't even know there was an elevator in the Washington Monument because I went to Washington very briefly when I was younger, and we didn't
Oh,
take many tours or anything like that. I don't think we even really got uh, close to like the White House or anything. We went to like library and some other stuff.
I went to a public school and we didn't have a academic decathlon team.
I don't think we did either. Oh, and there's this one thing I learned about tangent really quick to start off the show. Have you heard of this site called Great Schools?
Great schools. No, I have not.
Apparently, a lot of realtors use it because I guess there's maybe some ethical thing now where they can't say, oh, this don't move over here because they have bad schools. They'll just say, hey, you should check out great schools and look at the schools in the area, so they don't necessarily make recommendations or anything like that. But like, so the schools are ranked out of like 1 to 10, and I checked my high school, and this might be something you want to check out. I looked at my high school on there, and they scored a 1,
My
which is
my
horrible.
my high school doesn't exist anymore,
Okay,
so I
what
guess it would
happened to
grade
it?
as
Was it
zero.
was it merged with another one, or what happened?
It's like they changed it to some. It's not like an alternative school. It's some sort of a special thing where it's like it's not like a graded thing. It's like
Were they
I
turned
don't
to
even know how
some
to
like
describe
hippie
it. It's not like a
commune or
high
something?
school. Not really. I don't know. I think it's like I don't know. It's across the street from the Garfield Park Conservatory
Okay,
for you Chicagoans on the
okay,
west side. So it's
hmm.
not a high school anymore.
Okay, it's interesting. Um, but yeah,
Not
it
really.
really feels great to know how shitty my high school was and still is apparently. I'm not even going to
Yeah.
mention the name because I mean, people watching who know me, they know where they went, and I knew it was bad when I was there because it was just like, why don't you have a men's volleyball team? What's up with that?
Why are you trying to protect that school? Like it's like clearly it's a piece of shit school that gets bad, you know, grades and bad performance marks.
Hey, I want to give them a chance to redeem themselves. They know who they are and they know what their ranking is. I'm sure. So get better. Uh,
That's so kind of you.
Anyway, so how's your week been?
Week's been pretty good. Got out, saw some movies. We're in the middle of summer and Fourth of July this past week. I didn't really.
Fireworks left and right.
Uh, oh yeah, that's always forget about that. But yeah,
Yeah, it
can't
was.
tell. Like I said last time, I can't tell if it's guns or fireworks.
Yeah, it was. At least on the actual fourth, which was Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
Because people had to work the next day. That the fireworks stopped at around 11 o'clock in my area, so I was grateful for that. Um, so yeah, that was the
I
only
um
good thing about that.
I didn't I like cooked some food myself at home. I didn't barbecue. I just made like some barbecue chicken and got some like potato salad from Joel's and yeah.
I went to my local barbecue joint, which is right around the corner from my house, Kirk's, and I made the mistake of
Captain
waiting
Kirk.
inside, and we were there for
Oh,
about an hour because I know we sat through an entire episode
you
of
didn't think everybody else
Jeopardy.
had the same idea?
I figured they did, but it wasn't crowded in there. But apparently, a lot of people had call-in orders, so that
Yeah,
was
catering.
what was delaying us. Yeah, I sat through an entire
How'd you
episode
do
of
on with the
Jeopardy and
questions?
then some news.
Um,
Uh,
did you impress yourself, or did you
not
feel
well,
bad?
because I wasn't like facing the TV. I was just hearing it, so I feel like I was a little detached from it. So I wasn't giving my full college try. Um, but yeah, so eventually we got our meal. We just got a large version of the meals we usually
You got
get, and that was plenty for like 2 days.
rib rib tips with like mild sauce and fries and some
And
hot wings.
chicken too. It was tips and
Nice.
chicken combo, extra large.
I was just playing. Wow.
Yeah, their chicken is so good. But like,
Nice.
if I start thinking about Kirk's, then I'm gonna get in my car and go. So moving
Nice to know
on.
you're feeling healthy and
Yeah,
the sickness
uh,
has passed.
yeah. Before we started the podcast, I was uh, telling Tony about the trials and tribulations of this weekend. Uh, been extremely sick, but I'm better now. I'm still here. I'm still strong. So,
Yeah, physically you're well, but mentally,
you know,
so the jury's always out.
that's business as
The
usual.
sickness.
I've always been sick in the head. That's just that's never gonna go away. Uh, oh, anyway, I saw two movies this week. Think about it, because I almost
You went to
forgot.
an advanced screening of Girls Trip.
No,
I just
but
saw a commercial for it.
I do plan on seeing that. Uh,
Of course you
maybe
are.
not first day, but my wife probably wants to go see it first day. Um,
Yeah, yeah, no,
she's a big
I was
Tiffany
hoping
Haddish
that would be the
fan.
case.
She's a fan of Tiffany Haddish. Uh,
That movie looks so fucking awful.
I mean, it's just gonna be the black version of Rough Night. They're pretty much the same movie, and I enjoyed
Yeah,
Rough Night.
is there a scene where someone pees on themselves over a street during the Mardi Gras or whatever
Yeah,
that was I saw in the trailer,
yeah. I mean,
and they talk
there's a
about anal sex.
hey, it's a booty hole. Well, actually, I don't think that was about
Oh,
sex. It's about hiding drugs. But yeah, uh,
yeah,
there's always some.
I'm so proud of myself that I forgot the context of it.
But yeah, so I plan on seeing that. I think I forgot. I don't think I ever
Well,
talked about Rough Night on here, but that was pretty decent. It featured Ilana from Broad City, who I'm always a fan of.
so you went against the grain. You actually enjoyed it, while most of the
While
critics,
millions of
you know,
people didn't even see it at all. Yes,
and it just
exactly.
bombed.
I mean, those type of things don't matter to me because, like I said, if a theater is empty, great. It's perfect for me.
I'll see this shitty movie by myself.
I mean, it was a movie I
Enjoy
wanted
the
to
air
see to
conditioning.
begin with. It was just I was lucky enough that nobody else had the same idea.
I mean, just not to like spend too much time on it. Like, you didn't have any problems with this high concept studio comedy where it's like it it's this girls' night out or whatever, bachelorette party. I don't know what it was,
Yeah,
and someone dies and wackiness ensues. And
yeah, it was like
I
Weekend at
think,
Bernie's, and that was
why don't you just
hilarious.
watch Weekend at Bernie?
I mean, I might just do that, but sometimes you need to be reminded of those things. It's like, hey, I know
You have to
this
be
idea.
reminded how better Weekend at Bernie's is.
It's been a while, so I need to revisit to be able to make that statement definitively.
You need your Bernie Lomax uh,
What's that
kick.
his last name?
Uh, Don't you remember
Mhm.
like who was that rapper that did that dance? The the Weekend at Bernie's dance a couple of years
It
ago.
was just
It was a
like you just flop around like a corpse.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, I think I know that dance. I've seen it
yeah.
called different things, but yeah, it was like shoulder wiggle dance. Um, but enough about that. The other movie I saw this week was The House with Amy Poehler and Will Ferrell.
That got even worse reviews than fucking Rough Night. It bombed even bigger than Rough Night.
Well, say what you want about my taste, but it was right in my wheelhouse. I'm a fan of people from NBC network comedy. Um,
I'm happy that you're happy. As long as you're enjoying yourself,
hey, it's not like
that's good enough for me.
not like I spend my last like $10 on these movies. I go on a Tuesday, and when
Of
there's
course.
barely anybody there, everybody else has seen Despicable Me
Yeah.
3, and I can have the run of the theater, and laugh while someone gets their finger chopped off. So
Yeah, it's like you actually paid to see these cheap movies where you could easily just stay at home and watched it on websites that
well,
will
sometimes
easily
there are artists that I
upload
want
feeds.
to pay for their work. Like, how else am I going to pay Amy Poehler for the years she gave me of comedy from Parks and Rec? And I watched that for free.
I think I don't think she needs your money.
Well,
I think she's
she
doing
got
just
it
fine.
anyway. She got she got half the price of a ticket from me.
Yeah.
So I hope she appreciates. Oh, I almost forgot. I got free tickets for Atomic Blonde, by the way, because as a
Oh, did you do one of those Gold Fab or whatever it's called? Gold Food.
no, actually from just my regular loyalty program for Marcus Theaters. They just sent me an email. It's
Oh, nice.
like, hey, we got tickets
I
for
get them
Atomic
sometimes.
Blonde, but you have to go in person to pick them up. So I had to drive to Country Club Hills. So it was like, you still got tickets for that movie, and they had some left in like close to the front row. So I was like, all right, I'll take these two.
Those are assigned seats.
Yeah, and I like that because like you don't have to show up early for the movie or anything. You can get there whenever
Yeah,
you want.
like I said, that's a positive. The only negative is that sometimes you get seats to random stranger ass.
Yeah, that's why the good thing for me is I prefer um if it's going to be up in the air of who's going to show up next to me, I'll get seats for us on the end, and I'll put my wife at the very end.
Yeah,
And if some weirdo
yeah.
shows up,
If
he's
you
sitting
have that
next to
choice,
me.
definitely.
But I like this. They're all reclining chairs, and they're not super close to each other. They're like a foot in between each seat, so that's pretty cool.
Do you have like the adjustable table tray?
Now they don't have the table, which is weird because they have a full restaurant with like everything on the menu basically.
Liquor.
Yeah, so they do need some kind of trays, but they don't have them. But the middle, like the armrests in the middle, are big enough where you could just sit stuff on there.
I'm a I'm a member of the Classic Cinemas whatever member club, and
Hmm.
occasionally I'll get like free a coupon for like free popcorn. And my birthday is coming up on August the 1st, and they usually send me like a free ticket. So
Oh wow,
that's nice.
yeah, that's cool. I don't think I've gotten any like theater birthday rewards. I have to check in on that because I always go get my like my Grand Slam and all that stuff. I haven't seen anything
Baskin
from my
Robbins.
theater. I don't think they even know my birthday. I have to go and see where I can update that stuff. But
Yeah,
yeah,
on that free shit.
yeah. But I'll give my solid 3 out of 5 recommendation for the house. Wow,
Jesus Christ.
I'll say a 3.5 out of 5. just some
I
logic,
haven't. I.
just some logic
I
issues
have.
I had with the movie, where it's just like this town only has one cop. That's pretty weird, but Anyway,
I haven't seen it at all, and I'll give it the 0 out of 5 or one. Okay, I'll give it a 1 out of 5.
all right. It's very generous of you. Um,
You're welcome.
all right.
Um,
Now, there's
these
obviously a main event of this podcast, but we're going to lead up to that. So, what were some of the other things you want to talk about before we get to that?
this one story that you put on here about this. I saw this story earlier in the week about this YouTube personality Stevie Ryan dying
Yeah, she
of,
was
of a
a
suicide.
YouTuber, and then she actually got a show on
I have no idea
VH1.
who the hell she is.
But she had a show on VH1 for, I think it was for one season, called Stevie TV. And she did like
Yeah,
sketches
I
and impressions and stuff
saw
like
that.
that. Um,
I don't remember that.
yeah, I watched it for the time it was on, and I thought she was a decent impressionist, but there still wasn't like, it wasn't like a the best sketch comedy show I've ever seen. But
It was
um,
like 13 episodes or
I think so. It
whatever.
was something like that. But
Apparently, I think she had talked about like, her depression and stuff, and then
yeah, she had a
I think like
podcast
her
about
grandmother,
depression.
yeah, and her grandmother or something that passed away a couple of days before she died. She tweeted about how tough it was gonna be for her to get through that, and she did like a podcast episode or something, like a couple of days
Yeah,
before she died.
yeah. So that's for any weirdos who want to go check that out. Then I'm sure that's still available.
Morbid
Yeah,
bastard.
I mean,
Yeah.
people always
Well,
talk
thanks
about
for
how prophetic Tupac was, talking about his last days or whatever. You can hear somebody's words just days before they die. So if you're into that type of thing, then go on ahead. But I do
well,
appreciate her
thanks for
podcast. I do appreciate her podcast name. It's called Mentally Chill with the ill in parentheses. So it might have been something I would check out, but I don't think your advice would have really
no
helped
new
anybody
episode.
if one of the hosts succumbed to the thing they were trying to help other people with. But anyway, in other
Yeah.
death news, one that strikes a little bit closer to home is Nelson Ellis, who was Lafayette from True Blood. He died also. Uh,
Heart
and it was
failure.
health, yeah,
39.
heart failure. Yeah, it's crazy. I was wondering like,
That's too young.
yeah, and I was wondering like what happened to him after True Blood, and I was assuming like maybe he does have health issues because like just wasn't
Well,
around.
if you watch if you watch Elementary, like I tell you to, you would know that he was on Elementary this past year.
Okay,
He had a
I'm not
very big
interested
heart.
in a version of Sherlock Holmes, so um, it was
A
good to know he was on there.
shittier network TV version.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So it's yeah. I'm sad to hear about that. Plus, I think he was from around my way. So
I believe so.
yeah. So
Harvey or something.
yeah, he was from my hometown. So that's always sad to lose somebody because I was a huge fan of him. He was such a popular character on True Blood that his character who
His
died in the first
character was supposed.
book lived
Yeah,
on through the entire TV series.
that's talent.
Yeah.
Juilliard graduate.
Yeah. Yeah, so R.I.P. Mr. Ellis. Uh,
One one person died against their will, and another person died on purpose.
yeah. So in non-death news, what do we have?
Some I guess some news. Uh, Donald Lagoon's daughter,
I think it's Logue. Donald Logue.
Logue.
Was that the guy from Star Wars?
Uh, He played Harvey Bullock on
Oh yeah,
Gotham.
yeah, that guy. Okay.
His daughter, who is missing, has been found. I think past week he had been on social media, pleading for her to come home. A couple his celebrity friends were asking too, and she was found in
Where was
a
she?
friend's house in like South Carolina.
Okay. So how old is this
Yeah.
daughter?
She's a teen. I think she's like
Yeah, it looks like it's
16,
just after
17.
her 16th birthday. Yeah. Yeah. She would get such a talking to in my house. Ooh,
I think that
girl.
it's a kind of a complicated situation. She's actually a trans. She's transitioning into a man now, and I
Well,
think her life is kind of
whether
complicated.
she's a girl or a boy, she is still not a woman or a man. You're living under your father's roof. So you get your little ass back in the house. Whatever
And I think her
you
parents
want to
are
call
also
it.
divorced, and it's a very messy situation, and it's more complicated than giving her a talking to.
Hey, there still has to be order. Everything can't be chaos. That's it's
Speaking
obviously
of
it's the parents' fault, whatever happened, but they need to straighten things out.
speaking of chaos, Shia LaBeouf has been arrested yet again.
What for
Good
this
times.
time?
I think he was filming a movie, uh, some in Savannah, Georgia, and he got arrested for like I think it was public intoxication and like disorderly conduct, public drunkenness,
They should just
obstruction of.
come up with a new charge and just say being Shia LaBeouf because that's basically like what he
Yeah.
is. So
But don't you remember when he got arrested in Chicago when he was filming the Transformers movie for being drunk in like that Walgreens downtown on like Chicago and Michigan
I
that
heard
I have
about
been
that.
to several times.
You just missed him. Uh, yeah. So it's par for the course for Shia. Um, so
According
what
to
was he
the police
filming down there?
report, it was from a movie called the Peanut Butter Falcon, also starring Dakota Johnson of 50
50
Shades of
Shades of
Grey
Grey.
fame. Yeah.
Peanut Butter Falcon. That sounds like something that would be featured in 50 Shades of Grey. Like tonight we're gonna do the Peanut Butter Falcon.
Like,
Yeah.
it says, according to the police report, that he tried to bum a cigarette from a bystander and from a police officer. There would give him one. He started cursing and getting belligerent in front of like tourists, and he was getting very aggressive towards the officer. And then he ran into a hotel lobby where the police arrested him.
All right. I mean, that's typical Shia.
It happens.
Yeah.
That's
I've seen
yeah.
I've seen worse on the Gold Coast on a normal Friday night.
Wrigleyville, yeah.
Yeah. Like you walk around between like the Rainforest Cafe and
Streeterville.
Portillo's, and you'll see worse than that.
Don't you know who I am? My daddy's a lawyer.
Yeah, you hear a lot of that too. Anyway, so good luck, Shia.
Anyway, fuck him.
Free Shia, free LaBeouf.
Shia needs to be kept away from society. He needs to be placed behind bars.
Hey, I feel like it would be good for him as an actor because I feel like that would be some great research for his
Research.
next role. So, like I'm really going method for this one. I'm gonna completely get strung out
Daniel
on heroin inside prison, and I'm gonna come out
Daniel Day Lewis is retired. We need a new Daniel Day Lewis.
Yeah, yeah. I'm going undercover uh as Charles Manson, so I need to spend as long as he spent in jail. So
I went in
starting
depth
now.
research. I went anal raping some
All right,
trash. Get the full experience.
I'll take his word for it on that. All right.
Go method. You wanna jump into Spidey,
Yeah, it's
Spidey
perfect
Man?
transition. So the main event of this week, the movie that a lot of people have been waiting for, was Spider-Man: Homecoming. So we both saw it. I saw it on a Friday morning, and you saw it on a Thursday at 7. So,
Because I'm a bit better fan than you,
well,
clearly.
because you got that freelancer money.
The freelancer money. I'm rich. I'm rich. I tell you.
Yeah. So how did you like it?
I liked it just fine. I wasn't jumping up and down like everybody else apparently, but yeah, it was okay. I think that the high school stuff I loved a lot more than I did the actual Spider-Man, action moments
Okay.
and stuff.
And I've heard that too, and I guess I would say I'm in more in the jumping up and down camp. I feel like this was my favorite Spider-Man movie, like out of all of them. Like even like the Tobey Maguire
Hmm.
ones, like I went to the theater by myself to see the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie, and I really liked that one. But I felt like this one, I said it in my video review, but I felt like we're just living in the world with these characters. And even though the movie was like over 2 hours long, I didn't feel it at any point through it. So, like, that's when I know I'm enjoying it. So, like I liked all of it. I liked the motivation for the villain because, like, with MCU movies, that's always a big deal. It's like, oh, how's the villain? And I feel like obviously you have Michael Keaton, so it's not gonna be just the typical situation. Uh,
I like the fact that I like the his motivation for doing what he has to do, uh, because of the him losing the contract and him sort of like being forced to sort of you know steal and go into villainy. I like
right.
that, even though like like there was no like grand plan of like taking over the world or
Yeah,
getting revenge against anyone. He was basically just him and his crew was just stealing weapons to sell to other villains, and that was
yeah,
that was basically it. It was just a money. It was just a money scheme.
yeah. Cause I like the fact that like I think at one point when Peter tries to call him out, it's like you're just an arms dealer. It's like how do you think your friend Tony Stark made his money? It's like well, it's exactly right. Um, so like
But
I
didn't you?
enjoyed that.
You didn't think that like you didn't think that was kind of like low stakes of like this is basically like a villain in a plot that the Avengers like wouldn't even get out of bed to deal with.
Well, I think that's the point. It's like you have to make it like people always wonder like when there's like world ending stakes and only one hero from the Avengers is dealing with it, like that doesn't make
Uh,
sense. So it has to be something that's at Spider-Man's level or even slightly above Spider-Man's levels where it's like, okay, well, nobody would get involved with this cuz they're probably not even paying attention to it. So, like that makes sense and you can't have like the world ending every 5 minutes. Um so I
but
like that it wasn't like earth shattering.
sure, and like and some of you didn't have a problem with like where some of the moments in this movie, like the deli or like convenience store that Peter Parker goes to getting destroyed, and some of the other like the whole Washington Monument being destroyed and his friends always getting killed. You didn't have a problem with that stuff being caused by Peter Parker slash Spider Man.
I mean, yeah, there was a lot of stuff that he screwed up, and like he was punished for it. So like it it shows like it shows on one side where it's just like, okay, he's learning how to be Spider-Man and he's doing a really bad job of like growing into this character, but at the same time he was just like recruited and abandoned by his mentor. So it's like you could put it on both of them uh, for that, really. But it's just like, yeah, a lot of his problems he caused himself. Was, but it wasn't like, it wasn't like egregious in terms of like Suicide Squad. It's like, hey, we need a team to stop something. Oh
Oh
shoot,
God, you
one
had
of
to
my
bring up
team
that movie.
members is the problem. But it's like it wasn't to that level. But it's just like, yeah, he was dumb for bringing for carrying this random glowing orb around, because those things would, you would just think generally, oh, this thing is glowing. It's probably radioactive. I should not touch it or like anything like that. But they didn't think that.
What did you enjoy like Ned and like the all of the like the high school uh, classmates and that whole environment in the movie? Like, did you enjoy the whole like the new interpretations of
Yeah,
these familiar characters that fanboys got very upset about because they're racist?
yeah, say fuck the fanboy. I was like, it was the
I
most
loved it.
diverse Marvel movie, and I
Yeah,
wasn't even expecting that. It's like, wow, before we get to Black Panther, like these like the most people of color we've seen in any
yeah.
of these Marvel movies.
It
And
was very matter of fact. Like it wasn't
yeah, it
it
wasn't a
wasn't like
point. It wasn't a
yeah,
focus on
exactly.
that. Because it was like, well, he's going to a science and technology school, and spoiler alert, a lot of the smartest people, engineers, doctors, etc., are not just plain old white people. You're gonna
Yeah,
see a lot of brown people, Asian kids, and the representation looked appropriate.
and he was like the only like white
Yeah,
person that is like amongst this group, which I thought was pretty cool.
and I like that Flash Thompson wasn't just like some dumb jock. It was just like, oh, he was another decathlete, but he's still an asshole, so it still fits that general vibe. Um,
Penis Parker. When you
yeah,
say penis, I say
I
Parker.
just really wanted him to punch that guy in the face. It never really
I
got
did
to
too.
that point.
That
Um,
yeah, that was another thing that kind of disappointed. Like you didn't really have the. I mean, you had a bit of a comeuppance moment when he steals his father's car as Spider Man, but he doesn't
yeah,
do it as
and
Peter
completely
Parker.
wrecks it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I like that too, because it's just like, this is a kid. He's supposed to be 15. Like, he clearly cannot drive. He's trying to turn by shooting webs to pull himself to the left. So like I liked that this actually felt like a high school student. I feel like
Yeah,
Andrew Garfield was closer than Tobey Maguire in terms of that, but he still
he
wasn't
was such a
quite there.
fucking he was such a horrible douchebag and kind of a jerk. And he
Yeah,
was
he
also
was.
he was too cool already to be a
and
nerdy.
and then the like the forced like stutter in the first one. It's just like, this isn't working.
God, those movies were just made just to keep the film rights.
Yeah, and that's like
So
those types of things really make me angry. It's just like when Fantastic Four came, I was just like, all right, we got to stamp. We're almost running out of time. Shit something out real quick.
there was
But
no there was no like story or there was no like reason for the movies
yeah,
to be
nobody was
made. It was
motivated to make it. It's just
exactly.
like, hey, this, this
We gotta
this
hurry up.
hourglass is almost out. Let's flip it over. Um, but yeah, this one felt like it was like people cared about uh the result. Like, I feel like I liked all of the supporting cast as well. Like,
I
I
did too.
liked Ned. Um,
It's a very well casted movie.
yeah,
I like Ed too, but like he did like
Ned.
he did like some stuff that I originally I thought was annoying and stupid, like when he says that Peter knew Spider Man and stuff, and kind of did some other
That's
things.
one of those dumb things that your friends in high school would
Exactly,
actually do.
but then I thought like, well, he's a 14-year-old kid.
Yeah, because it's like, I'm thinking about like an incident. it wasn't in high school. It was like elementary, like sixth grade. But like we, uh, I'm not gonna take the blame for it. But I had uh, a couple of friends, and we all knew that our one friend Jose was really obsessed with this girl Heather. So one of my other friends was like, "Hey Heather,"
I remember you telling me
yeah,
this a while
yeah.
back.
But so one of the other friends was like, "Hey Heather, Jose likes you," or Jose has to tell you something. And then after school, he's just like, "I love you." Then he ran away. It's just like, well, that idea felt uh, similar to that. It's just like, well, you want to impress this girl. I'm gonna just put this out there. It's just like you're kind of blowing up his spot.
I love that not only did you have a very like diverse cast here, at the high school, but they actually looked like high school kids. They were
Yeah,
age appropriate,
yeah.
and
It all
they
felt right.
all they looked like high school kids. Like some were goofy looking, some were skinny, fat. You
Yeah,
know, had glasses. Had speech impediments.
yeah,
They actually felt like a high school.
yeah. And I do like that it was not just like uh, high school
Abercrombie
and
and Fitch model.
yeah, and it wasn't just like any town USA high school. Like actually a science and technology school that would make sense. And then it kind of covers up some of the stuff like why is this super smart kid in this dumbass high school with these jocks and all these other just regular people? It's just like, oh, he is in a special high school. He's got this Stark internship, so it feels right. So it's like, that made it easier for him to hide some of the stuff with like I'm working on this with this like crazy alien alloy, and my shop teacher is just not paying attention. Also,
Did
it
you?
kind of makes more sense for why Coach Wilson doesn't really care about his job because like there's probably no standout athletes at this science and technology academy.
He was impressed by Parker's pull-ups.
Yeah, and let's talk about Coach Wilson, Hannibal Burris. Uh, I'm still mad about the fact that he picked his lookalike for the premiere. It didn't look anything like him, but
Hey, he's on short notice.
yeah. Speaking of short, that guy was like a foot taller than him. But anyway,
Well, if you had access to a jet or something, you could have flew out there and
hey,
take the red
he
eye.
was offering $500. He could have threw in a little more for airfare. Then I could have hopped on something.
That's
But
the cost of airfare right there, man.
yeah, I know. But I really enjoy his role was small, but
His
like
brief.
yeah, but like it really like I enjoyed all his time on screen. I like how he shows like these Captain America videos, like they're doing like basically the presidential fitness test
Yeah.
that people used to take. It's like it would make sense in this world for it to be Captain America, not just the sitting president. Uh,
So you got detention. You did
yeah,
something wrong, and you want to make up for it.
and it really makes it really throws me back to that time frame of like right before Winter Soldier, where it's just like I'm sure Captain America was just this like clean cut goody two shoes, just unfrozen. Like, hey, government, what do you want me to do? I'm your guy. And he just probably filmed all these things at that time before he realized they were all liars controlled by Hydra. So I just think those were funny, and it's funny that after he shows the first one in gym class, just like I'm pretty sure this guy's a war criminal now, but like I'm required to show these videos. So that stuff all felt like realistic to me, just like this burnt out teacher who doesn't give a shit. I'm trying to think. There's Zendaya also had a very small role, but she was like a
I liked
biracial
her.
Daria. Yeah,
I liked her characters, her sort of her weird sort of outcast
yeah,
character, and then some of the lines that she had. I know that. Okay, so we'll talk about this right now. So initially, when it was announced that she was going to be playing a character named MJ,
yeah,
you had the aforementioned racist fanboys
of course.
screaming online, "Oh, social justice warriors it was
Not my MJ.
Mary by then you watch the movie, the actual fucking movie, and you find out
Yeah, her
her
name
she's
isn't
playing
Mary Jane at all.
she's playing a different MJ. Her name is like Michelle or something.
Yeah, like we only find that out at. Well, I guess we find out her name is Michelle, but then she says at the end, like, my friends call me MJ. They're like, you don't have any friends. um, so yeah, I thought all her stuff was funny. She wasn't in it as much as like for all the outrage that her casting got. Like she wasn't like a major part of the story at all.
Yeah.
Uh,
Staying with that trend, I was surprised that genuinely surprised when Michael Keaton when it turned out that
he
Adrian
was
Toomes was
Liz's
the
dad.
father. Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
was
was
like,
shocked that secret that they were able to keep that
that. Yeah, that
secret.
was a great reveal because like it completely caught me off guard. Like what?
Yeah,
It's like oh my god. And like that, like the nervousness from Peter, it made sense because it's like, well, number one, you're meeting a
yeah.
guy you know as a evil villain, but you're also
Like
meeting
times
your
two.
your girl you want to be your girlfriend's dad. So it's just like, so it was easy to play it off, but then like she wouldn't shut up in the car. She's like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
he
no,
knows
the
Spider Man.
fucking blew up.
He inter- he interns with Tony Stark. He's da, 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 da. He keeps disappearing all the time. Like shut up. Um, that was just funny. Like, no one talked to him for a minute, and it was like it all like from anyone on the outside looking in, you would just think this is like a tense uh, daughter's date and father situation, but there's so much more going on.
More layers on top of it.
Yeah,
I liked Michael Keaton more as like the dad of this uh, a father who's trying to like get money to like
yeah,
provide for his family
yeah,
and being this guy who's like threatening like Peter to like stay away from him and what he's doing or he'll kill him and everyone he loves. I like him here than I do as the actual Vulture when he's the Vulture.
yeah. But I feel like really every time he donned vulture garb, it was to do a job. It was like he had to swoop in that first time and get rid of Peter because he was interrupting their business. So he never really like did it. He never really put on the suit to just be like, I'm a villain. I'm gonna kill somebody. He never really was trying to kill anybody. He never really tried to kill Peter until kind of at the end, or it still was like, hey, you're fucking up this huge job. And we finally got this high altitude seal that this dude has been talking about for for months. Um, so like the entire time it was just like I'm stealing, getting money from my family. Like he never had the intention of killing anybody, and you feel
He didn't
almost
have the intention of killing people directly. But he was
yeah,
going to sell these incredibly dangerous weapons to
yeah, but
bad people to murder people.
yeah, but just like how he explained it, like that's exactly what Tony Stark was doing as
It
well. It's
doesn't
like
make it
he,
right.
like Tony Stark's not a murderer, but he sells weapons of mass destruction. So it's like, hey, I don't care what people do with it. So yeah, sure, drug dealers don't shoot people up, but they sell drugs. The people justify things in their own ways. But I would say
That,
he was
that's terrible.
like in terms of like in that dark world he was justified unto himself, and for a villain he should believe what
Rationalized
he's
his.
doing is the right thing for him, and he believed it. I also like that this was the way they introduced damage control, because like originally they were thinking of possibly doing like a damage control sitcom in the MCU world, and they probably saw how horrible that show Powerless was because it's
Powerless.
basically exactly what they wanted to do. I'm sure theirs would have been better, but they probably saw like, hey, you took our idea and you completely crapped the bed with it. So
So it's Tyne Daly and like these government people to show up to
yeah,
take over the job from.
yeah, and it's funny, like from that origin of him, like that's immediately after the Avengers fight in New York. It's just like he felt justified from that point, and then like obviously he takes a dark turn, but it's just like yeah, you should punch that guy in the face, Vulture.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the. This is probably like the only time that like I've agreed with the whole blue collar, you know, blue collar worker guy versus the, big government probably since the election. Because
Yeah.
otherwise, because otherwise, they're just a bunch of fucking, like the whole stupid like Joe the plumber,
Yeah.
regular guy,
Yeah. A lot of
bullshit.
regular guys are not good guys, but
Yeah, exactly.
some of
This,
them are.
but in this case, yeah, in this case, you kind of understand where it's coming from.
Yeah. And I like just the little throwaway line of like, they make these messes and then they get paid to clean them up. The whole system's rigged. It's like, yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah, yeah.
um,
I'm glad that they didn't politicize that too much. It just
yeah,
kind of stands on its own. There's no like fucking like pro positioning on any
yeah.
politics there.
Well, I like that. Also, the fact that they don't ever really focus on who the president is. I think we see him at some point on Agents of Shield.
Iron Man 3, I think.
Yeah, he saves the president in Iron Man
Yeah.
3. But is that guy still president? Because
Who
that
knows?
seems like it should have been a few years ago at this point. But the rules might be different. He might have declared martial law because of all this crazy shit that keeps happening in their country over these past few years. Sokovia Accords might have had a clause in it, being like all presidents stay in place for a minimum of 10 years.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Do you? One of my criticisms with this movie is that there isn't a single memorable action scene in this movie that you look at and go, oh, that's amazing. Like that's on par with this scene from this other superhero movie. Like they kind of just.
I mean, in terms of like, I don't know if that's necessarily what I'm looking for with these movies anymore because like
You're not
how can
looking
you top each
for a
other?
great action scene in action movie, in superhero movie.
I'm looking for great action scenes, but it's like something that tops previous movies. Just like you're gonna run out at some point, but it's like I enjoyed the action. I think the stakes are what kept me involved. Like the they were fighting on invisible jet. I thought that was pretty cool. It was. Um, I felt like there was real danger for Peter, and like I was interested. I'm not like weighing it against other scenes, but I was still invested when stuff was happening, and I enjoyed uh, the the Staten Island ferry being split in half, even though it was kind of his fault. But it was everybody's fault for that, really.
It's always Peter's fault.
I mean, he was trying to stop whatever was going on. He just didn't understand what he was dealing with. But like I enjoyed that stuff, and that in that scene it made sense where it's just like, okay, the involvement of other people, it makes sense. It's like, okay, this is beyond Spider-Man, so that's when Iron Man shows up. So like
Even though he caused the ferry to be destroyed.
he he caused it by trying to take the guy's weapon away, and the weapon exploded. He didn't know exactly that was gonna happen, because like he's still learning this stuff. He hasn't learned the importance of recon yet.
Yeah, he had to remove the training wheels protocol from his suit.
Yeah, I really want to see more about Lois, like like the 500 something web options, taser webs. I want to know about instant kill. I really would like to see that, but I doubt we ever will. Activating
That was
instant kill.
I like the Batman interrogation spoof when he wants to get information from the Donald Glover
Yeah,
character in the
that
in the parking garage.
now that would be what I would say was the part that disappointed me was what Donald Glover's role ended up
He
being.
was just there.
He was
I
just
didn't think there
playing
was
a
anything.
thug. This is like
Yeah,
this is not true to character at all. Like I'm glad that he got a moment, like a spotlight moment in the movie, but it was like this isn't really what I wanted, especially like why he's in this movie. It's just
because
like
he fucking crying about wanting to play Miles Morales on Twitter and social media,
yeah,
and
but
it
it's
was it
like
was fan servicey.
yeah, it was like this could have been something better. Um,
It
but
just
like,
seemed like he was just not he wasn't even playing like a character. He was pretty much just playing like himself, like the childish Gambino version of himself.
was it was more like if he was one of the normal people in Atlanta and
Exactly.
not
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
not kind of a weird outsider. Cause like he was seemed like he was talking more like a thug during that drug deal, but I guess
Yeah.
he was putting on for these gun runners. But then like the interrogation scene, uh, I do like that he was like giving him advice on how to be a
Advice on how
better
to
hero.
be.
That in that sense, he kind of reminded me of the I always forget the guy's name, but the guy from the Daredevil series where everybody ends up beating his ass. He ends up transitioning to every show. I think it's Turk. That's the guy. He's always like the witness for everybody. Like he knows everything. So that kind of reminded me of what Donald Glover was being in this movie. And I like that he just left him there, like, oh, that'll dissolve in 2 hours. And he was just like, I got
Yeah,
ice
ice
cream, man.
cream. Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah.
I don't like the fact that Spider-Man has a suit that has tech in it with a artificial intelligence voice that has all these like weapons and all these because it pretty much gives them like a crutch to like lean on whenever like Spider-Man's in trouble. He can just use like a parachute
I believe they call
or
that a
or whatever.
Deus Ex Machina. Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
but yeah, like so that is basically like the sonic screwdriver effect. It was just like, oh, I
yeah.
have a tool for any situation. But it's like in this world, we have to do something different for this
And that's
Spider
what,
Man.
yeah. It's like you can just feel that in this movie. It's like, oh, we got to do something different. We got to do something different. We got to do something different. It's
Yeah,
like,
but it's like it makes sense being like at least it wasn't just like he made his own suit and figured out some kind of way with his high school brain of
sure,
putting
sure.
all this stuff together. It's like Tony Stark, if he's gonna do something, he's gonna overdo it and he's gonna have Mach 4, 5, 6 up to 13, and then he's like, okay, now it's ready, and then give it to him. Uh, so I do like the way they fit that in there. It's just like, oh, he's put way too much in here. Like even Peter acknowledges it was like, oh, he had a lot of time on his hands with this. So like, he's never gonna use every single thing, obviously, because he doesn't want to instant kill anybody.
He
So
has a sidekick who helps him that he can talk to.
yeah, I mean, and realistically, we're not gonna see a lot of the Spider-Man at all. So it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Um, Cause like I don't even know what the current speculation is because they're like Venom's gonna be in his own universe
I
and
don't even
Spider
want
Man
to
is
think about
over and da da da. Just so it's
that
like,
Amy Pasquale, a woman from Sony, like
mm-hmm.
talking about all this crap and like I think it was like her and like Kevin Feige were on like a press junket and she said
Yeah, I
something
saw
about
that. He was just like, "What the fuck are you
you
talking
fucking
about?" He
stupid
was
bitch.
he was looking at her like, "What?" So like,
Even though he won't be in the MCU, he will be in the same universe as the
yeah, it's just
Avengers. Like,
like
what?
wait, what? So like, so I don't even know. I'm just looking at this movie by itself, and I'm
Sure.
appreciating it for what it is, and I enjoyed it.
I
This
assume
portion.
that I assume that we're still gonna have like Tom Holland as Spider Man. We're gonna
Mm-hmm.
have these characters, but we're not gonna have any of the MCU superheroes, and it's gonna be like its own kind of like separate Spider Man story
Yeah, and they kind of
with
set that up.
Sony
They kind of set
making
that
them.
up at the end where he turns down the invitation to join the Avengers officially.
Yeah, the
So
Horn Spider Man suit.
yeah, could have still given him the suit, but I guess he chose not. He chose to give him version 2.0. Um, but so that will explain why he's on his own. But I would feel like you still have to keep the stakes pretty low if you wanted to explain that away, because it's just like, oh, now like Iron Man doesn't care if he dies now. Like
I
that
guess.
would be weird.
What did you think about sexy Aunt May and everybody hitting on her, wanting to fuck her?
I mean, I think it felt realistic. I mean, that's That's how some women navigate in this world. It's just like the the people at the restaurant is just like, oh, it's on the house. It's like you're a single woman navigating in the world. Sometimes it's weird and creepy like that. So none of
Do
that
you do
felt
you
unnatural to me.
do you like this version of Aunt May?
I mean, I like it didn't feel like she was really doing anything until like the moment where it's just like, I may I need your help to get ready for this date. Then I felt like this was something unique for this version where it's just like, okay, yeah, she's not just
Teaching
basically
him how to dance and all that
yeah,
stuff.
it's like I felt like Aunt May in previous versions was just basically a nuisance, and I feel like this Aunt May, like, you could see how she contributes to his personality, and like they actually have a bond where it's just like they're close enough, well, not in age, but they're close enough with as far as their bond where he probably does tell her almost everything except for the fact that he's Spider Man. So
Which we
like
see at the end, and
yeah,
she
yeah, just
and
like
she reacts.
randomly one day he just decides not to close his door. Just like all right.
Well, he is, young, learning Peter Parker, making mistakes. So.
I mean, I guess he's too busy doing superhero things where he's not doing like the normal thing that boys his age would be doing in their room. So he's not super conscious about closing his door for other reasons. So I guess that's why he's just like, oh yeah, I'm just undressing and
Yeah,
for other reasons.
his Spidey sense was tingling.
Yeah, and I like the fact that his powers aren't the same necessarily. Like he still
Do
has
you okay?
super
So
strength and
that's one of the
agility.
gripes that people were talking about, like the fact that he doesn't have Spidey sense in this movie. But did he have it in Civil War? Do you remember?
I don't think so. Um, Cause like the only thing we would get to let us know that, because it wasn't from his perspective really, it was just like a open ended thing. But like when there was all this like conversation between him fighting with Falcon, I feel like he would have mentioned that. I think he said something about his powers, but he didn't. I don't think he ever mentioned anything about Spider Sense. Um,
Because there were moments in this movie where he gets hit from behind and like he,
yeah.
he gets taken out, unexpectedly, and like that was
Plus,
a gripe.
that's something they could fix with tech. Like maybe that's one of the things in the training wheels protocol that the suit will provide him. Now that that's unlocked or whatever,
So now this is another thing that Spider-Man has to get from Tony Stark that he can't have on his own.
possibly, or maybe he just doesn't have it at all. Like we didn't see that even after he unlocked the suit. So it's just like things are different. And plus, like I don't know anything about real spiders having anything similar to that because I squash
But
spiders all the time and they don't see it coming. So
sure, but this has always been a part of who Spider-Man has been since day one in the 1960s when the character debuted. So you don't have a problem with this not
with
being
with them taking away my childhood, is that what you're saying?
him taking away just one of Spider-Man's abilities that everyone's familiar with, and talks. My Spidey senses are tingly.
I mean, he's 15, so maybe when he goes through puberty, his spidey sense will like turn on all of a
Isn't
sudden.
that kind of old to not go through puberty?
I mean, I think he's supposed to be 15, so that would be
Like
late.
13.
He would be late, but he was bitten by a radioactive spider, so it might have changed other
He's
things. This
attracted to
slowed some
girls
other things down.
already.
I was attracted to girls at like 7. That didn't mean I was
Exactly.
getting a hard on. But I was just like, hey, she's pretty. But you know, uh,
Sure.
so
Do you feel like if like Uncle Ben, if they would have did that storyline in this movie, he would have been played by, fucking, I don't know, Adrian
Johnny
Amell
Depp.
or Johnny, or no, I'm trying to think someone. Yeah, pretty much
I'm
Josh
trying.
Hartnett or
Yeah, it would be somebody like that. That's why there's like so many things they changed. And sure, the Spidey sense is one of it was.
Brad
an
Pitt.
essential thing, but it's just like we have seen all of this stuff for 5 movies. It's like
Yeah.
we're doing the sixth movie of the Spider-Man franchise. So how do we differentiate ourselves? So this is one of the many things they decided like, okay, this is going to be our take on it. Since we sold it to strangers and they wrung it dry, we're going to have to reimagine it. So I at least
But
trust the
it's
people who created it to do it
it's
more
still
so
a
than anybody
Sony
else.
movie.
Yeah.
It's still, yeah. It's like I still don't feel like this is like, you know, an MCU joint, because all of the things that happen in this movie is going to have absolutely no bearings on Thor or Captain America or Ant Man or the Avengers,
Well, I think
Infinity War.
it's realistic why that wouldn't have any bearing on it, because it's just like, well, apparently this was between the events of um I don't know, because at one point they're moving to the upstate New York facility, so that would seem like that was the end
Before,
of Avengers 2. But I guess
yeah,
they built the facility, they had all those people meet up, and then Civil War kicks off. So I guess Civil War happened, and during that entire time, they hadn't moved the stuff out of Stark Tower yet.
yeah, that doesn't make any sense, does it?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I mean, I guess they still had both buildings because I didn't know that anything had changed with Stark Tower. So I guess they just made that deal at some point later, because I guess that makes sense because the Avengers don't really exist anymore. So he had Stark Tower and he had the upstate New York facility. So just like, well, I'm gonna sell one of them. So he sold the Stark Tower.
So
So they're
this is taking
consolidating.
place right now. This is in like real time. It's not like in between
It
anything.
ends in present day because like Hannibal said, like this guy's a war criminal now.
Yeah.
So I guess that makes sense. Like, well, the team was getting huge, and then they just basically split in half. So it's like we don't need 2 buildings, so I'm gonna sell one of them. So I guess that makes sense. Um, because yeah, at the end of Avengers 2, they were all partying in that building, so they clearly made that deal after the events of Civil War. So
I hated when I like the scene where Spider Man is like trying to swing through a neighborhood, and because there are
yeah,
no tall buildings, he's
yeah,
like
that's another
flying through.
new thing where it's just like I always wondered about that because like when I think about like when you play the
He has to
Spider-Man
run.
video games, it's
There's
like
no
if you ever
buildings.
yes, because like you're in the city, like in the Spider-Man games, but they're like if you ever try to go through Central Park, it's just like there's nowhere to swing. You try to
Yeah.
swing to trees, and it doesn't really take you anywhere. So I enjoyed that, and he was just like fucking up everybody's houses, like just
It's like
knocking shingles off the roof and
I
everything.
loved like when he was going through the neighborhood, through the pool and the fences, but I hated the fact where like you could clearly see that they're doing like a sort of an homage to Ferris Bueller, yet they still had to have
The
Ferris
footage
Bueller
from
playing
it.
on a TV. Like you were too stupid to know that this is clearly a
I mean,
Ferris Bueller
I was too
takeoff.
stupid because I have never watched Ferris Bueller in full, so like that would have went over my head without the footage being shown with it. But uh, I enjoyed it either way. Plus, like that makes me that that one thing is a little bit irritating when it comes to the end credit scene because like if Deadpool hadn't stolen it, then it would have made sense for Spider-Man to do the Ferris Bueller end credits scene. It's just like, why are you still here? You should leave. Because like Deadpool just stole it, and it was kind of random for why he does it. Although it's just like, oh, it's another fourth wall breaking thing. But um, I wonder how many people were successfully trolled by the very end credits scene. Did you stay for it?
I already looked on my phone to see if
Okay.
there was going to be one, and yeah, it explained like what it was going to be.
Yeah.
I didn't expect. Yeah, I didn't expect. It was. I didn't expect them to say anything about any upcoming MCU movies because it's not an MCU movie.
Yeah, it's separate. So I knew it was going to be something that was kind of self-contained, just like like yeah, even with Guardians, where they had like five of them, it's just like they were all pretty much related to the movie.
Yeah.
Um, so like I just thought it was funny. It's just like it ends with him being like
Yeah.
patience. It's a very important thing. Sometimes you'll wait and wait forever for something, and you realize it doesn't really feel like it was worth it. It's
And
just
then he
like
looks off camera and says, "How many more of these do we
yeah,
have to do?" Or
yeah. So I thought that was funny, like a good meta joke. Trying to think. Also the mid credits scene with the vulture. I feel like that's kind of a redeeming moment. Um,
See, okay, so here's my deal. Okay, so either he wants to protect Spider-Man because he saved him and his daughter, or he wants to kill Spider-Man himself. It's
I think I
one or
think
the
that's
other.
too I think that's too typical to be like, I'm not gonna let you kill him. I'm gonna do it myself. It's like because he doesn't really have a blood feud against Spider-Man. Like,
Even though
uh,
he threatened to kill him and his whole family, and he tried to kill him multiple times during the final
he's
act of the movie.
he said what he needed to say to keep him out of his business,
He
but
dropped a building on him to kill him,
he
and
dropped a
then
building
he
on him. But then realized like I could have burned to death, but he saved me. So maybe I'll let him live at the very least. I'm not gonna bake him a cake or anything, but I'm just not gonna let these guys kill him. Like I feel like that's not. It's not like he's the good guy now, but he's just like fuck it, I'll let him live. Like I
who
don't think that's
knows.
unbelievable that he's just like nah, you can't kill him. Like he
I like that they left that up
plus, it's
for us
like, do you
to.
really trust these guys? Like, hey, this guy is in prison with me. He knows some guys that can go kill Peter Parker if I give them the word. How do I know they're not gonna be idiots and kill my daughter too, who who is likely around him, even though they're moving to Oregon, but
I
he
was just
comes
about
back
to
to
say.
visit or whatever. But it's like if he's visiting Oregon, how you know they're not gonna just shoot up the entire building that they're in or whatever. So
Do you think that this is like because he's clearly like the Scorpion, that this is gonna like set up some sort of
okay.
superhero Insidious Six,
Yeah, Sinister Six with the movie
Sinister Six?
they've been trying to get made for all this time now. Um, I also
The
like that.
possibilities are endless.
Yeah, I also like that the Shocker was kind. It made sense of why it's just like, oh, this is just another guy in the crew. It wasn't just like some other lone psycho that was like creating his own stuff in the lab. Just
Yeah,
like,
that's kind of a hard character to bring from the comic to live action when you see what he looks like in the
yeah,
cartoons and the comics and stuff.
yeah.
So
But so it
yeah,
made sense the way they did it in this one. And I
he's a
like
guy with a gauntlet
yeah, he only has one of
weapon that
them.
that punches yeah that punches people and shocks them.
Yeah, he's like you punch people and shock them. You call yourself the Shocker. What is this, pro wrestling? So, and I like that there ended up being two of them. I was like, fuck it, now you're the Shocker.
Because I
uh,
think the characters, the names of the characters are from like I know one Schultz. That's the character that Bokeem Woodbine played. He's the
hmm
Shocker in the comic books, and then the other character is another version of the
okay, so
Shocker. And like,
they fit them both in there.
yeah,
That's cool.
exactly. And he
Um,
doesn't get arrested. I think he gets away, right?
yeah, because because I'm thinking, did end up doing anything after the boat situation? Because I know he
Uh, he beats up Peter at the school
yeah,
at the
because he
prom,
gave you a
the
choice.
school bus. Yeah, yeah.
He knew you wouldn't take it. Yeah, and then he
And he just
uppercuts the
leaves
school
after
bus and pieces out. um,
that.
yeah, I wanted to see a little bit more from Bokeem Woodbine because like I saw how good of a villain he could be from Fargo season 2, but maybe there's something else with him in the future, but we'll see. Yeah, because I feel like in Fargo he was like an evil Dave Chappelle type character. That was like that was what his character was, which was unique. Anyway, was there anything else from the movie that we didn't touch on?
I thought the score for the movie was pretty. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't memorable or that great. I still think
Yeah, I
that
can't remember
the
anything from it.
Danny Elfman music from the original from the first two Raimi ones are pretty great.
Hmm. Yeah, I can't remember anything that stood out to me about the score either.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
but yeah, um, but yeah, in general, I had fun with it.
yeah. I enjoyed. I didn't like it as much as he did, but
Hmm.
as a John Hughes style teen comedy, when I look at it that way, I enjoyed it more.
Cool. Yeah, because that's why I think like this. I've heard a few people say like they some of the stuff that was like non Spider Man related was better for them, and I just feel like it all worked for me. I wasn't sitting there watching him be Peter Parker and just like, put on the mask. And then when he was being Peter Parker, I wasn't just like, okay, I'm tuning out. It's just like I was fully invested the whole time. So it
Cool.
worked for me.
Cool.
All right.
All
So
right. Are you going to see War for the Planet of the Apes next week?
absolutely, I've enjoyed
Yeah, I'm looking
this
forward to that.
entire Planet Ape series thus far. So
Even though
I've
we all
heard
know
good
how
things.
it's going to end. We all know who's going to win, but we just want to see how it
Yeah,
ends.
I'm actually rooting for them. Is that bad? Like
Well,
if a monkey rings
you
my
know.
doorbell, so should I? Um, like I feel like I'm rooting for my own extinction, but yeah,
Well, Zach, there's
but
this movie
Caesar's.
that came out in 1968 called Planet of the
I
Apes.
know. I remember. Well, I remember the Statue of Liberty in the sand. I also remember uh, the more recent version with the Washington,
Dumbass
the Lincoln Memorial with
Lincoln
the
Memorial.
monkey face.
God.
That's ridiculous. Because like, why would you just change that? Because that doesn't represent anybody. 'Cause, like, unless there was some ape that was just like, I'm really inspired by by this mythological Abraham Lincoln character I've read
Yeah.
about. I'm gonna dress
And
like him and wear a stovepipe hat.
we all know that Tim Burton that was something that the studio made him do, and
Yeah,
it was gonna be something completely different.
yeah. But like this version, it's really working, and I've had fun with it.
Andy Serkis, like he doesn't get serious consideration for like Oscars and stuff, but he's actually doing that. That's not easy to do. The
Yeah,
the CGI, face tracking, body motion stuff.
yeah. It's an art,
Yeah.
and he's finally getting work on camera as a real person now in Black Panther. So good for him. Even though I think he does still have some kind of CG element, doesn't he have like a fake hand or something?
Yeah, his fucking hand got chopped off
Yeah.
by Ultron.
So it's like he even as a real
Ultron.
person, he can't be a full regular human. But I also like that there was a little Easter egg in there. They were just finding like Ultron heads, just like oh look at this. Um,
The new Captain America shield prototype and the Thor belt.
yeah, I was wondering like why is he making a new cap shield? This is some kind of like uh, underground thing. Are they are secretly working together?
Nah, I don't know if he's like making it for Captain America or if it was
That's
something that
true.
he already
He
had.
might assign a Captain America like you're not even you we've revoked your citizenship, so the new Captain America is going to be this guy, and they just put it on. There was a guy who seemed like a decent candidate for it from Jessica Jones because he was I think he was supposed to be connected to the same program, but he was just basically on like some kind of super soldier steroids. They might just put it on one of these subjects like that. But
That the guy from Agents of Shield this past season, I think he's like based off of
the
the
Patriot or
Orange
whatever,
Patriot.
yeah.
Yeah, That was
Wasn't the
from like
Iron
the
Patriot what you call it? Green Goblin dude? Uh
the I thought that like the Armed Patriot wasn't that the character that War Machine Don Cheadle Randy Rhodes was playing in Iron
yeah,
Man
in
3.
Iron Man 3 and
Yeah,
then they put that suit on the president.
yeah.
Yeah. So
I
they
think he's
might
just
not have
called the
used that.
Patriot.
Yeah, on the Agents of Shield, that guy is called the Patriot. So they might just decide as leader of Shield and fake Inhuman, and they'll just use him as the new figurehead, Captain America. But they
Well,
don't want to reference
but
anything from television, especially
and
Agents
he's
of Shield.
also his character is dead. Too.
Oh, well, spoiler alert. There you go.
If you actually watched season 4 of Shield, you would know that.
See, there's so much stuff to watch, so much on television. Uh,
True.
yeah, as a transition, let's talk about what we're watching. Uh, what shows are
What
you
are we
currently watching?
watching? That shows am I watching? I am going to check out Castlevania on Netflix. I just started
I've
streaming.
seen that get posted. I was never a Castlevania player
Neither
on
was I.
NES, so like I never really knew exactly what it was about. It just seemed like Draculas and werewolves and
I
things
feel like
like
I missed
that.
out. I
Yeah,
feel
I
like I
don't.
missed out on that.
Yeah. So so is this a Japanese anime or is it
Yes, it is.
American?
It's Japanese.
Okay. So that'll be interesting. I have limited experience in anime. Uh Recently I've been watching like Death Note uh and I'm trying to think what was the other one I've watched. One Punch Man. Although I'm mad that they don't have the English dub version of One Punch Man on Netflix. Even though like they
Subtitles.
yeah, it's like they did an entire run on like Cartoon Network, but for some reason that version isn't on Netflix. But anyway,
It's hard for me to get into anime, man, because it's so many of them. It's like it all the animation style is
you
so
have to pick.
similar. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to pick and choose. The thing that has helped me like whittle them down is like there's this YouTuber I watch. I've mentioned him a few times. Tyrone Magnus. He does like reaction videos, and he started doing these things with this site called Rift.tv. It's where you can watch somebody react to an entire episode of a show, like from Netflix or whatever. So
Hmm.
he started watching Death Note and was giving it good reviews and stuff. So I checked it out, and I think it's interesting. Uh, I think I've probably watched like 7 episodes of that so far. So I like that one. But it's just like there's so many of them. You have to just see like the premise and if it's interesting enough, and you gotta pick and choose because there's too many. I think.
Too damn many.
Yeah.
And it's like just like the when you're like watching an anime, just like the way that the characters look and how the scenes like
Yeah.
develop. It's kind of hard to
Yeah.
like I don't know.
Even though it's like I can't even think of any American cartoons that I would really be interested in watching, like current ones, because like all the stuff on Cartoon Network, the animation style bugs me. It's it's like they're made for little kids, even though the like the writing is
Funny.
more
It's like
highbrow.
shitty art school
Yeah,
college crap.
yeah, but it's like the writing is more highbrow. Like Steven Universe is like pretty deep, but it's just like I don't like the character design. So it's like it's distracting. There's also was it Gravity Falls, which has the exact same art style, pretty much as Steven
That fucking
Universe.
Adventures of Gumball, I fucking hate.
I won't even try that one. I've seen like the cat character or whatever that is, but like so a lot of these shows will just tune me out because of that. It's just like this looks like something that should be on like PBS Kids. It's like I don't understand why they all just have gotten lazy with animation. So that's why some of these animes have been more interesting to me because at least like something like Death Note, they don't have those scenes where it's just like somebody freezes in the background, keeps moving behind them, like like they don't do that stuff. So it's more like a normal cartoon. So like I've been looking for more stuff like that, but it's like you have to dig around now. But I'm trying to think of what else I'm watching. In terms of regular shows,
Have
I'm
you
still
finished the
watching.
Glow?
I haven't finished it. I've only watched the first three so far. I'm going to probably watch the next three this week. Probably post a review for those after I do the next set of three. Um, Trying to think, what else am I watching? I'm still watching Orange is the New Black. I haven't watched a new one from this week. Um, Watching Claws, Preacher. Still hanging in there with Fear the Walking Dead. Um,
Hey, I was just looking online. The president in the Marvel universe, his name is President Ellis from
okay,
Iron Man 3. You see him at the beginning of Civil War when
okay,
I think he's giving a press conference talking about crossbones and the whole Nigeria thing when Captain
okay.
America and then they
That
go there
makes
to stop
sense.
him and what's her face, Scarlet Witch blows up the building,
Yeah.
kills those people. So I guess he's like they're keeping that continuity going with
Okay.
him as the president.
I like the
Anywho,
fact that like he's not really an important character. Like that
yeah.
that's a smart decision to make because like if anything happens with that actor, just like who cares about the president anyway? Um so I'm trying to think what else. I think that's pretty much it for what I'm currently watching. Uh Yeah, I've been trying to watch that show Blood Drive. My wife is like, I showed her the first episode. It's just like, I can't do this right now. I'm eating. There's like gore everywhere. It's like people's bodies being ground up into car engines and all kinds of like ridiculous over the top gore. Um, but like it's manageable when we watch Preacher, and then the Saint of Killers blows somebody's head off. That's just enough where it's like okay, that that's past. I can keep going. Um, but yeah, it's still pretty thin as far as shows right now. What I spend the majority of my time with is my South African shows. Uh, and I'm not
No,
gonna talk about it, but watch those and my two Big Brothers series, UK and US. So that's what I'm watching.
I'm glad someone's watching it because I will.
What are you watching? You sound
I
like
mean,
you're not watching much.
it's like the summer TV season, so like all the network shows obviously are on hiatus. So
Yeah.
right now I'm just trying to like, catch up on this movies and stuff. Like I saw Wonder Woman for a second time on my phone. Am I allowed to say that?
Well, there's so many new subscription services that let you see movies
Yeah,
straight from theaters. It's like it's crazy that they've gotten licensing and everything ready for that.
yeah. That's a ticket. I've been
All
watch.
right,
I haven't
John
been watching a lot
Lovitz.
of. I haven't been watching a lot of TV shows. More movies.
All right, that's cool. It's gonna be a movie summer.
I
Um,
will be watching Game of Thrones when it comes back
well,
next
absolutely.
Sunday.
All right.
Obviously.
Okay, so it's next Sunday. Finally, it's about time. Winter is here. Um, I'm so ready for that. Um, but yeah. So, have you taken my recommendation of watching Okja yet?
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to because like
Yeah,
people are talking about it.
it's
Uh,
good. That's why they're talking
People are
about
making
it.
references. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I gave it 5 gold pigs. Like, and that's a
Five.
reference you would understand after you
That's
watch it.
very rare. Yeah, it's like what I talked about when I said when I finally started watching Black Mirror a couple of weeks ago. It's like
Hmm.
when everybody when something's popular and everybody wants to shut the fuck up about it with the hype that makes me not want to watch it.
Hey, after you hear a couple of glowing reviews, okay, you tune those out and then you examine for yourself. Stop
Yeah,
being
yeah.
such a hipster.
No, but it's like, oh, this is awesome. This is awesome. And then sometimes you watch it and it's shit.
Like, see, that's why you have to just explore things on your own. It's just like, how do I feel about this? Watch the trailer and you just think, do I want to see this? And then you decide. Like,
But
because I didn't know anything about
I
Stranger
resent
Things when
that
I watched
I
it.
resent that hipster label because it's like I know there are some things that are like that you've seen that are like super popular that you've watched or that you know looks like shit and then you watch it and it's shit.
Yeah, and there's some things that everybody says are shit, and I think are good to me. Like
And
nobody,
vice versa.
nobody wanted to see Rough Night. Nobody wanted to see The House. I had fun with both of those. So, like sometimes you have to just go with your gut because, like, there's things that people love that I don't, but it's just like
Well, like
you have to.
what are the because I'm trying to think of what was something that I and everyone else enjoyed that you didn't like.
I'm trying to think. Just name something. Uh,
Because I already know you're not a big sports guy, but so nothing
Trying to
sports
think.
related.
Lost.
Well,
What I thought it was interesting, but in the grand scheme of things, it's probably a waste of my time. Cause
yeah,
I was so
loose ends that don't get tied. I don't have enough time for that.
yeah. It's like
I can't get invested.
it's like I felt so out of the loop because like everybody I worked with kept talking about it all the time.
Oh,
I was
what's
just
this mystery? What does this mean? Oh,
yeah, and then
what?
I like binged the entire series right before the last season. And I was like, this show was stupid. It's just like
It's making shit up.
they want to do time travel, then they want to do alternate realities, then they want to do like past
Sideways,
lives,
whatever.
and then it's just like none of this fits together. It's just like so in the grand scheme, like, and there's still people who are obsessed with it. Like 10 years later, we'll do a rewatch. It's like I'm never gonna
And then
watch that
like
show again.
at the end of it, they don't. There are things that are left hanging that
Yeah,
they never paid off.
like hey, you know
Why would
what?
I
Like
want to
you know
watch
what?
that?
They were all dead. This is purgatory. It's like that doesn't make sense either. It's just
Yeah,
like
and that's what people were saying that from the fucking get go.
yeah, it's just like okay,
They denied it.
like did you come up with this because people said it, or did you like
Was it part of the plan?
none of it felt like oh this makes perfect sense, but uh uh Lindelof totally redeemed himself with the leftovers, which I feel like one of the greatest series ever. But I'm
What
trying to
about
think.
did you like Mad Men?
I liked it. I'm trying to think. There, yeah, I did finish. Um, I liked it, but it wasn't like appointment viewing. I
Sure.
ended up watching like a few at a time to finish it up. But
What
yeah,
about The Sopranos?
I was a fan of Sopranos. Um, Trying to think.
Archer?
Not really. Uh, like I tried to keep up with it, but then I just stopped caring.
Yeah,
Just like
ditto.
what's happening on this show?
I have no fucking. They did like something where they go back, where it takes place during the 1920s or
Yeah, like
something.
I have no interest in that because it's just
Neither do I.
why is this happening? Like um
They have no ideas.
yeah,
No
like
new ones.
yeah. Um
So yeah.
yeah. So is there any wrestling you want to touch on before we wrap up or
Yeah. We had a rare, I guess for nowadays, title change at a house show.
yeah.
They it was um, a Raw house show at the Madison Square Garden in New York, but they had a SmackDown match that
Yeah.
took place between Kevin Owens and AJ Styles for the U.S. Title.
That makes it even weirder. Just like you have this random match from another brand and then you change the titles. Just like, all right.
Yeah, that there has to be some explanation for
Like
for that.
maybe Kevin Owens is injured or something.
Yeah,
That's usually why they do it. Because I'm trying to think. Uh, yeah, it's a rare situation, but usually that's the behind the scenes of it all. But I guess we'll find out uh,
yeah.
tonight.
That was one of the points,
Yeah, it
selling
was a
points is,
marquee
hey, well,
match. Um, so I feel like there's some battle royal competitors who will feel some type of way about that. So maybe they'll come to challenge AJ. I guess if we don't see Kevin Owens at all on the pay per view, then that's probably how you can explain it. It's like, yeah, he might have gotten hurt.
speaking of wrestling pay per views, will you be? Do you have any access
Yes,
to
I
watch
do, and that's
Great Balls of
always.
Fire?
I'll
Do you
be
have a? Are you paying for it?
yes, I absolutely I pay for my internet. So tonight is the uh,
Send me your
greatest pay per view,
password and stuff, by the way, when we're done. But continue.
greatest pay per view um, name slash card of all
By
time.
greatest, you mean horrible?
Great,
What a terrible fucking
goodness
name.
gracious, great balls of fire.
And I've heard that they had to pay like a lot of money to Jerry Lee Lewis to
Why?
use that fucking. So that means it's not like this is gonna be going away anytime soon. They're gonna get
Yeah,
their money's worth.
they started saying the first ever Great Balls of Fire event, like first. Like this should be the only one. Like, god damn it. Why? Like, and then they have all this car theme, like I guess I don't know, is the song Great
Yeah.
Balls of Fire about a car or something? Like usually those
Reminds
old
you of
songs are.
Fastlane.
Yeah, it's just like you could have used all this stuff for Fastlane and just like not done this because like I hate the name, but it's like all those little like metal car emblems with the superstar logos. Those look cool. Like if you put that on a chain, you could probably sell a lot of those on Shop Zone.
What about the logo that looks like a dick and ball?
Yeah, that's not a good look. I don't understand why like nobody ever
Notice that.
clued in on just being like you you're all right with this? And Vince was like, sure, put it on. Like, all right. Also, like the Facebook ad for Great Balls of Fire is like completely wrong, and it keeps popping up
They've
in
done
my
that.
timeline.
They've done that in that Facebook post, and they did it on TV. I think during like an
Really?
NXT show on the network. Like it was so the big main event is it's Samoa Joe versus
Brock
Brock
Lesnar.
Lesnar, but it was
It says
like
Seth Rollins versus Samoa Joe.
no, it was like Roman Reigns versus
Oh, that.
someone else.
Yeah, I've seen it wrong
This
in
was the
multiple
commercial.
ways. Yeah, like the one on Facebook says, Jesus Christ, I just found it again on the timeline, and it's still wrong. Because it's the sponsor one that keeps popping up, and it says Seth Rollins seeks revenge as he battles Samoa Joe at WWE Payback, and then it shows
Payback.
the picture for Great Balls of Fire with Brock and Samoa Joe. Just like I don't even remember that match from Payback, but it's like still being shoved in my face. But
Hey,
yeah,
that's the company that Austin Aries doesn't want to be a part of, and people are mad at him for, you know, like how dare you leave the great
how dare
WWE?
you leave after you had that great gimmick of walking around with a banana? This is
Yeah,
like
exactly.
on a show that nobody watches. So like that
Doesn't
doesn't
that
matter to me.
like freak you out that you have these loyalists that are like so damn loyal to like WWE, and even though they treat their fans like shit and they put out a shitty product on a regular basis.
Yeah, I mean, I yeah. Going back to the subject of things that I didn't like that go against popular opinion. I've never really been a fan of SmackDown. Even when people say it was the best writing on TV, I was like, nah, it's still boring.
No.
And
It's 2 hours though. You
it's
get
two
one less
hours,
hour of
but it's
shit,
2 hours of the same shit that's on Raw. It's
but
like,
it's
well,
1 hour less.
yeah, but it's like New Day was on Raw, so I liked Raw. Now New Day's on SmackDown, so I like their segments on SmackDown. But overall, SmackDown is
Speaking
still,
of which, did you see the rap battle of Wale
yeah.
referee
And
between the Usos
I really had low hopes for the segment as a
as
whole
did
when it
I.
was announced. But it's like it turned out way better than it had any right to
Yeah,
be. And uh
you get a page of reference.
yeah, and contrary to expectations, uh the Usos completely murdered the New Day.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Uh, like it makes sense. Like the New Day is just like corny, like that's their characters. It's like a thing that Childish Gambino was obsessed with for a while around the time where he put out his album before because the internet. He's like, some people said that he's cool, but he's not rap cool. It's like the New Day is cool, but they're not rap cool. Like the Usos
Yeah.
actually like have bars, and the New Day was just fucking around. Like they came out with the rosebuds, so that like sets the expectation level of like what they're gonna do.
So what was the page insult
Like
reference that they made to turn the
something like let's keep it PG and not get R rated like your boy Xavier Woods. Although I would say that was X, but
Yeah, oh yeah.
although I
You
guess you
don't see
don't see
that in an
full
R-rated movie.
penetration. I mean, some of these movies you get kind of close, in some HBO shows, but like the camera was far enough back where I would say that you could get away with that in an R. Anyway, maybe the naked
I
guy
wouldn't know.
crouching in the corner would kind
I
of
wouldn't know.
wouldn't be included.
You're telling some things about yourself that we
Hey,
don't want to
some
hear.
hey, some people on Facebook don't have any boundaries and they'll just post stuff. It's like this is not meme worthy. It's like you
Yeah,
can't post
all
that.
that cracked Facebook, policing at work.
Oh
They
yeah.
definitely
Like yeah, like if Facebook was really doing their job, then there wouldn't have been so much horse porn in my Harvard group
bestiality.
that I would have left it as the administrator. And that's how bad it
All,
was. I left a
all
group that I
the
created.
racist.
I created a group that had like over it was like close to 10,000 members, and it got so bad with horse porn that I left it and I created the group. So there you go. And like it was genuinely like the majority of those close to 10,000 people were real people, and I vetted them all myself, and then it still had enough people sneak in where it's just like fuck this.
You should have just left it there, man. 10,000.
I mean, it still exists. It just doesn't have an administrator.
Oh,
Like I could join it again and maybe ask somebody to make me an admin, but I don't really care anymore. Like it was for my hometown, and I don't really care too much about my hometown anymore. Like I left there for a reason. uh,
too much
anyway,
horse porn.
yeah. Uh, anything else to touch on before we close out? Do you want to go through the card for Great Balls of Fire?
I mean, but I'm just trying to think off the top of my head because I really don't give a shit. You have Alexa Bliss versus Bailey, or not Bailey,
Sasha
Sasha
Banks.
Banks. Boy, if Sasha Banks loses, that would really suck. Man, gonna put her in like real bad position to look like a geek.
Yeah, I expect Bliss to retain, and then they're probably gonna do a follow up.
Yeah,
Um,
because they're clearly doing like a Naya versus Alexa or something. I don't
yeah,
give a
because
shit.
they keep teasing that, and it's funny that like she's trying to make friends with her on screen, and like if you follow them on Instagram, like
They're
they
friends in
are
real
really
life. Best
really good
friends.
friends. So that's cute. Uh, yeah. So
Dean
this won't be the end.
Dean Ambrose versus The Miz for the millionth time.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I was gonna think. Is like, is this the million and first or million and second match they've had since SmackDown? Now they're on Raw, still doing the same thing. I was mad because when Kurt Angle said like you're gonna face both of them, I thought he was just gonna make this match a triple threat and have um, Heath Slater in the mix. But like, no, let's do yet again another match with Dean Ambrose versus The Miz.
There's no reason for Dean to win.
No, Dean should be doing something else, and The Miz should also he should be in a better position than just running this stale feud.
What the fuck? Oh, do you think that who's gonna win? Well, obviously Brock is gonna win.
Yeah, I hope it's competitive,
Samoa
but
Joe.
I don't expect Samoa Joe to win.
Who's the baby face in the match?
I don't think you really need one. It's just like a monster match. It's like if uh,
This is
it,
the
it,
monster mash. This is the mash.
it's like if you get the eventual match of Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar. It's not like I'm not cheering for anyone. I just want to see a car crash. So that's kind of the case with this. Uh,
Tag team match. Hardy versus Cesaro and Sheamus.
Again, another match that feels like it's for the millionth time, even though like Hardys haven't been around that long, but it's just like, yeah, they run this into the ground. Um,
And it really feels like unless they get the rights to the broken gimmick, it's like this just feels like a waste of all that momentum that
it
they
sounds
had.
it sounds like they're close to a deal on that. This is the last
I
I've
hope
heard
so.
this week. So also since maybe since TNA is now Global Force Wrestling,
Global
they've
Force.
yeah, maybe they've had a change of heart as far as uh, their old dealings go, but we'll see.
You think all of it? You think they don't want money all of a sudden?
What money are they getting? Like the thing happened, and like they're not gonna cast two new people as Broken Matt and Brother Nero.
But they're not going to give that gimmick away for free.
No, they gotta pay for it, but like
Yeah.
they just have to agree to a price. Um, anyway, they're doing the Enzo and Cass match on Great Balls of Fire, which I feel like is a little premature. Like, of course, like they have pay per view coming up and they've done the breakup, but I feel like they could have held this off till like SummerSlam because I feel like it's big enough, but they they're probably gonna run a three match series like they do with most of these feuds.
I
Uh,
feel like Big Cass is a shitty singles wrestler.
oh, absolutely. This is the whole. This is the barbershop window situation, except for the fact that the person who is in the barbershop window is gonna be the star. It wasn't like it was as if Marty Jannetty super kicked Shawn Michaels like, I'm out of here. I'm where the money is. Like this is what's happening in this situation. Um so like I expect this feud to go on and then they're gonna try to push Cass and then they're gonna fall flat on their face and hopefully Enzo survives enough so he can have his much better singles run. But we'll see.
I mean, I'm gonna watch it simply because I have nothing else to do. But yeah,
Yeah,
wrestling.
yeah. I was excited for the Brock and Joe match, but for some reason, I just feel like certain pay per views, like in the cycle, there's like they're too close to each other. But I feel like the cycle for this one was like too long. Like they had a week longer than they needed. It's just like, all right, my anticipation is petering out a little bit. It's like
Was
they
it like
did.
5 weeks or a month in this fucking
Yeah,
thing?
it was a long time because like they did the Enzo and Cass breakup twice just because they needed to fill a week. It's like all right, like we didn't need this second one. It's just like then Enzo comes out and does his Tupac promo after actually doing
His
an original.
long ass promo.
Well, he does the long promo that makes sense and it's a good promo by itself. Then he goes out of the ring and comes back and does this Tupac promo and shows this like Sharpie thing on his stomach. It's just like I'm glad he did that separately because they're clearly gonna cut that out when they show the video package. Like it was very obvious why he didn't put that in his main promo. Like they wanted me to do this extra dumb shit, so I'm gonna separate it. Like, all right, there's a good edit point right there. Um, but yeah.
Yeah,
So we will see Great Balls of Fire on pay per view and
man. I got to start watching like other wrestling because I hear that like
yeah, I
the
keep hearing
quality of other promotions or other promotions are so much better than this shit
yeah,
that we watch.
I hear that, and I always think about that during the week. But then it's just like
Where do
Uh,
you find it?
there's a subscription service called FlowSlam, which is like a lot of independent companies have partnered together, and they're like you can see like PWG and
That's the one
Evolve
that I want
and
to watch. I hear
yeah.
good. I like the fact that it's ran by wrestlers and it's in Southern California, and you have like celebrities that like show up because
Yeah,
it's
and
in
it
Los
seems like
Angeles.
there's a big emphasis on comedy. I've always
Yeah,
heard good stuff from them, and I need to just finally check them out. Cause I think,
Pro Wrestling Gorilla.
yeah, I think Topanga was at the most recent show.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Fucking Gillian Jacobs from Community was there
yeah,
that
it's
I
just
saw
like,
online.
it's like, I just feel like LA people support LA products. Um, So yeah, I need to explore more outside of the typical wrestling bubble. But it's just like I feel so fatigued after going through 5 hours of
Yeah,
WWE television.
don't
It's
watch
like
it.
I don't
Just
want.
give up.
Like I've learned on some of the ways I watch Raw and SmackDown after the fact. There's the ability to watch in 2 times speed. So I've been doing that a lot. So it
Oh,
hasn't
everyone's
been
got like the
exactly
high
5 hours.
voices and shit.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't up the pitch. It just speeds everything up.
Oh, okay.
So, like, especially like a Bray Wyatt promo, if you play it on 2 times speed, he actually
Same
sounds kind
thing
of like a
over and
normal.
over and over.
Yeah, but it sounds like he sounds like he's talking like a normal person. It doesn't make any sense still, but it's just like the
Oh, those
the
gaps in
pace.
between.
Yeah, the pace makes more sense. It's like, but hey, Seth Rollins, this world, man, the people are lying to you. You're the liar.
He just sounds like a typical crazy homeless man than the
Yeah,
usual one.
he sounds more like the old Navy preacher than like a hillbilly cult leader. I wonder if the old Navy preacher's out there still. Uh, I expect
He's
that he
he,
is.
he is out there. He's like further down the street on state
So he's
because
not in front of Old Navy.
that old Navy is gone.
So there's no Old Navy on State Street anymore.
No, it's on. They moved it to it's on state in Randolph, like right around from where Channel 7
Yeah, I
is.
know that's the new one, but he was at the original Old Navy. Then he followed them to the next spot, right?
He didn't go there. No,
Oh, I thought he
he
went with them.
stayed when they turned into a gap, and now they're closing that gap down to turn it into like some fucking I don't know housing or some condo bullshit.
All right. Well,
I see him around.
all right. Good to know the preacher's still preaching. You got to give
That's
these
bad.
people the word.
He needs to go away. He's
I
very
just
homophobic, as you know.
yeah. Just a random thing I want to mention before we wrap up. That guy reminded me of a character from the show Chewing Gum, which I've mentioned a few times on here. The main character's mother is like this bootleg preacher. She has a church that's not really a church, but she basically does the same thing as him, and she's on the corner like with her microphone, like
Bullhorn.
yeah, she's basically like talking about all the people who are going to hell, like single modas, film watchers, fashionistas. Like what?
Why? What they do?
I don't know, but it's just like uh, I just love that those are the people that she calls out with this African accent, like single modas,
Fashionistas,
fashionistas. So like
TV
if
watches.
if I had if there was somebody like that on State Street, I would actually sit and listen to them just for the joy of it. Anyway, to wrap up, let's give out our deets for people to reach out to us throughout the week. What are
My
yours?
Twitter handle.
Yeah.
My Twitter handle. My Twitter is at Anthony Hoffman. Facebook, you can just find me Anthony Hoffman. Type that in. Instagram is Tony Hoffman Shy. Tony Hoffman CHI.
All right. And I am on the Twitter at Zach Reviews. You get it? It's a play on words because my full name is Zachary Hughes, and the
Oh,
Twitter is Zach Reviews. Hi. And you can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/Zach Hughes, facebook.com/Zach Hughes, and you can find the podcast on Twitter at Frustrated Grad, on YouTube at youtube.com/frustratedgrads. And you can find the audio version of the podcast on iTunes, Google Play Podcasts, wherever you go. Coconuts, Suncoast Video, Suncoast DVD and video. You can buy the copies of the podcast there, and go to frustratedgrad.com. If you like what we're doing over here, go to iTunes, tell them, give us 5 stars. If you like it even more than that, then you go to frustratedgrad.com and donate by clicking the PayPal button. So, with that, I will say that's it for this video version of the Frustrated Grad podcast. Audio listeners, stay tuned. And with that, I will say thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and that's all you get for today.